Hey YouTube, welcome to episode 8 of my Firewood processor build. This episode is the second part of the hydraulics. There's a few odds and ends in here that I worked on. A little bit of delay getting this episode out. I was on vacation this entire week, so I've pretty much been non-stop working on the processor. I haven't had a lot of time to do the edits, so I'm going to try to get this one out and then work on editing the rest of them. It is not done yet, but getting quite a bit closer. Right now I'm putting the manifold together for all my returns. This was like a heater manifold for a boiler system. I figured it would work out. It's return side, no pressure, low pressure, whatever. So this was the easiest solution for me to put something together and have a place to run all my returns. With this second part of the hydraulics, I did miss a lot of filming. And it was mainly just, I'm getting towards the end, and it's a little harder to focus on filming and doing the work at the same time. So I kind of just sped up a lot of this because I missed a good bit. There'd be hour-long clips where the camera's on the wrong side of the trailer and I'm doing something on the opposite side. So I apologize for that, but getting this close to the end is really making it where I just want to focus and try to get it done. So I'm trying to edit the videos as best I can that it still shows something. My second spool valve, I'm cutting the bracket off here. I had to move it 1 inch further away from the other spool valve because of the with one facing one way and the other facing the other way, the power beyond ports stuck out really far, and I didn't have enough room between them. This gas tank I got off Amazon. It's a for the top of like a generator. It was kind of difficult to find a 5-gallon tank, and this just seemed like an easy solution as far as being able to mount it and everything. The outlet on this tank was a 1/4 inch hose barb. The inlet in the engine was 5/16. But I didn't see any reason why this wouldn't work. If I filled that tank with gas, opened that valve and just let it run on the floor, I would assume it would run out of gas way faster than that engine could burn it. So here I'm working on that belt tensioner. I used some 1/2 inch Schedule 40 pipe for my spacers to space the two idlers away from each other, and then also used one at the side where it would bolt on to keep that spaced away as well. So I just made a simple bracket and then just put a slot in it, so I had a little bit of adjustment. That spacer I used was actually like a guide for pinning a crankshaft I had laying around, and it was a perfect size and gave me a base that wouldn't move around as much, so I used that. I'd never done the bracing on this side of the plows, edges of the plows down, so I just put those right underneath where the hinges were. This is a switch for the saw. So basically, as soon as the saw starts to move, that switch would close, which would then energize the clutch for the chainsaw. And it barely, I mean, it doesn't have to move much before it energizes, so it actually worked out pretty well where I didn't have to try to make any adjustments to where I put it. Here's the hoses and some more fittings I was waiting on. When I originally ordered my fittings, I ordered all these fittings on this one 90s. Well, there's not enough room to do 90s. I could get a 90 in each corner, and then I had to use like the JIC to JIC 90s. I'm putting one on here to actually hook the hoses up. There was a shot of my dump valve installed. It's weird. I don't quite understand it, but so this auto cycle valve has two lines that go to the front of the cylinder and one to the rear. I'm not sure. I really looked into it as to why it has to be that way, but there's two fittings that have to go to the front end of the cylinder and have to be tied together. That's the flow control valve that'll go to the saw cylinder so that I can adjust how fast the cylinder moves. And that's the pressure relief valve. That's a 500 to 1500 psi relief valve. This is a solenoid. Basically I did this so that when the saw is running, that valve will close and you will not be able to run the infeed. I figured that was just some insurance to make sure that the infeed couldn't be moved while the saw was down, potentially bending the bar. I ran those lines and I realized I never put the cushion valve in. From what I understand, the cushion valve can be used when you're running a motor off of a valve designed for a cylinder so that there's not like a heavy shock when you stop the flow of hydraulic fluid. Whether or not I needed it, I don't know. It's just the research I did kind of led me to it, so that's what I'm putting in here. to that flow control, I'm making a bracket. That one's the only one that's kind of very easy to get to, mainly because that way I can make adjustments to it while I'm cutting. I'm gonna do like a dash that'll cover most of this stuff, and that flow control valve will stick up out of the top of that dash, so it can be adjusted on the fly. So the flow control valves, they had no way of mounting. So I'm just making kind of a bracket that'll go over top of them out of aluminum. They're 1 inch wide. So basically I just milled out a slot in a 2-inch block of aluminum. I think I did it 3/4 inch deep by like 1.2 inches wide. And then just drilled holes on the outside edges. That way I can bolt them down, kind of like a clamp. So I just basically figured out the overall length, and then I'm going to drill 4 holes. So I just did the math to figure out 4 holes in it. Across the whole length, it'll give me 4 roughly same length pieces once I cut them up. While we're drilling here, I'm gonna re-release episode 3 and episode 4. I fixed the voiceover for episode 3, and for some reason when I posted episode 4, I posted the version without the voiceover. I'm not even sure why, and I didn't even catch it till, I don't know, a few days ago. I just started watching through the series. I didn't even realize when I posted episode 4 it wasn't the right, it was the edit where I didn't, before I did the voiceover, so I'm gonna repost those two. I probably won't take the other ones down. If somehow I can get to a point where I'm monetized by YouTube for stuff. They take in consideration watched hours and stuff, so I'm going to leave those up for now. But I am going to re-release those two probably once I post this video. That way, if anybody stumbles across them or wants to rewatch at least 3 and 4 to get so they can hear the voiceover in case there was some information in there that might have been relevant, they can. That solenoid did not have a mounting hole in it, but it had enough space in the block that I had drilled that hole. That way I had a way to mount it. All these return fittings, I didn't seal them when I put them on just because I wasn't 100% sure where my hoses were going to be. There, I just moved that one. So I needed to be able to move them all around. So I'm just threading them on loose for now. And I could have got, so the one manifold's a 3 port, the other one's a 4. And I'm not sure where I came up with 8, because I have one at the other end as well. And then this end would be my return to tank. I'm not sure how I messed up the calculation, so I did end up having to get a cap for one of the ports. And that 1-inch hose there at that end is the outlet from the dump valve. What I was reading there was the the diagram for the joystick valves, of trying to figure them out, which ports go where. That pretty much wraps up this one. Turned out as I was going, there's fittings I messed up or still needed. There were some hoses that weren't quite right. I needed 90s at the end of my return hoses for them to work out. So I think this was Sunday when I finally got to this point. So I had to order everything. So that wraps this one up. I'll try to get the next one edited and get that one out. Again, Make sure you subscribe and give me a like. Thanks for watching.